Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into the world of restaurants.
Ooh, exciting!
It is. We'll be dissecting the complete restaurant tool and equipment list from Menuviel's Restaurant Success blog.
So like a backstage pass to what it takes to run a restaurant.
Exactly. Whether you're a seasoned foodie or just curious, this deep dive will reveal the tools and equipment that make it all happen.
Sounds like a lot to cover.
It is. But we're going to break it down, starting with the heart of it all, the kitchen. Menuviel really emphasizes how crucial each tool is for efficiency.
Like even the seemingly simple stuff.
Yep. So let's talk about the chef's knife. It's like the workhorse of any kitchen.
Oh, for sure. The guide recommends thinking about the size. An 8-inch blade is great for everyday tasks, but a 10-inch might be better for, like, big cuts of meat.
So like choosing the right tool for the job, but for making culinary masterpieces.
Exactly. And then there's the material. Stainless steel is durable, so fewer replacements, which is important for a busy restaurant, right? But carbon steel holds a sharper edge, but needs a bit more care.
It's all about finding the right balance. Now, I'm obsessed with cutting boards. I never realized how much goes into picking the right one.
Right. It's more than just a surface. The guide talks about wood versus plastic.
Ooh, yeah. What's the verdict?
Well, wood's more porous, so bacteria can be an issue if you don't sanitize properly. Plastic's easier to clean, but can dull knives quicker.
Makes sense. So each has its pros and cons.
And then there's color coding, like red for raw meat, green for veggies.
Right, really?
Yeah. It's a simple visual cue for food safety, huge impact.
I love that. Definitely stealing that for my own kitchen. Okay, now mixing bowls, stainless steel or glass.
Both have strengths. Stainless steel is lightweight and durable, perfect for big batches of dough or batter. Glass is great for sauces because it won't absorb flavors or stains.
Ah, so your delicate sauce won't taste like the garlic bread you made earlier.
Exactly. It's all about choosing the right tool for the task. And speaking of tools, the guide gives a shout out to kitchen shears.
Oh yeah, those are surprisingly useful.
Incredibly versatile. Trimming meat, snipping herbs, even opening tough packaging. A real multitasker.
Seriously, I've used mine for everything. And we can't forget peelers and graters, lifesavers in a busy kitchen.
Oh, absolutely. They save so much prep time, especially for large quantities. Imagine hand-chopping veggies for 100 salads.
My arms are aching just thinking about it. Okay, we've covered the essential hand tools. Let's move on to the heavy hitters, the cooking equipment. First up, the age-old debate, gas versus electric stoves.
Oh, a classic. So the guide says gas stoves offer that instant heat and precise control that chefs love, especially for searing and sauces.
Yeah, I've heard some chefs say electric just doesn't give them the same feel.
But electric stoves have advantages too. They're more energy efficient and provide even heat distribution, which is great for baking or simmering large pots of soup.
So it really comes down to the restaurant's specific need.
Right. It's about your cooking style, your menu, and your priorities. And speaking of priorities, let's talk ovens. Convection, conventional, pizza ovens, there's a whole world out there.
How do you even choose?
Well, the guide breaks it down. Convection ovens circulate hot air for faster, more even cooking. Great for cookies, roasting veggies, crispy chicken skin.
The multitasker of the oven world.
Exactly. But sometimes you need the gentle heat of a conventional oven. Think delicate cakes, custards, things that might get overcooked in a convection oven.
Ah, I see. So different ovens for different needs.
And then, of course, if pizza is your specialty, you need a dedicated pizza oven. High heat for that crispy crust and bubbly cheese.
It's all about having the right tool for the job. You wouldn't bake a souffle in a pizza oven, right?
Exactly. And speaking of specialized equipment, we can't forget deep fryers. Essential for those crispy treats, but you need to choose the right size based on your volume.
Makes sense. Wouldn't want to run out of fryer capacity during a rush.
Now, let's talk about griddles and flat-top grills. Those are workhorses for restaurants with diverse menus.
I love watching a line cook work their magic on a giant griddle. It's mesmerizing.
They're so versatile. Perfect for breakfast, burgers, veggies, you name it.
And the guide also mentions the rising popularity of steamers.
Oh, yeah. They're perfect for those health-conscious diners. Cooking without added oils or fats.
So you can have your crispy fried goodness and your healthy steamed options.
Exactly. It's about catering to everyone. Oh, and we can't forget the trend of sous vide cooking. Precise temperature control for perfectly cooked meat and fish.
It's like magic. Sous vide steak is unbelievably tender. Now, I'm curious about what the guide says about refrigeration and storage. A restaurant kitchen must be like a giant fridge.
It is. The guide emphasizes choosing the right size refrigerators and freezers, especially those massive walk-in units in larger restaurants.
I can't even imagine trying to organize a walk-in fridge. How do they keep track of everything?
Well, they recommend stainless steel racks for visibility and even color-coded bins for different ingredients. It's all about having a system for easy access, especially during a rush.
That makes sense. And what about those dedicated wine and beverage coolers?
Essential. You need separate cooling units to maintain the right serving temperature for different drinks. Nobody wants a warm glass of wine, right?
Definitely not. And speaking of beverages, the guide even mentions the humble ice machine.
Oh, yeah. Essential for keeping those drinks cold. You need to think about the type of ice cubes, crushed flakes, and the volume you need.
It's one of those things we take for granted, but is so crucial. All right, we've talked about the big appliances and organization, but now let's delve into those smaller but equally important tools. You know, the blenders, food processors, all those gadgets.
Those are time savers. A good blender for smooth soups and sauces, a food processor for chopping, grating, even kneading dough.
It's like having a super-powered kitchen assistant. And a good blender is a must for those creamy soups. No one likes a chunky tomato bisque.
Right. And they even mention immersion blenders. Perfect for pureeing soups right in the pot, making sauces so much easier to clean too.
I love mine. Speaking of essential beverages, what about coffee equipment?
Well, if coffee's on the menu, invest in a quality coffee and espresso machine. And a good grinder for freshly ground beans, of course.
It's those details that show you care about quality.
Exactly. And for expanding your menu with minimal effort, they suggest toasters and panini presses.
Quick, tasty, and always satisfying. Okay, we've covered the kitchen essentials. Now let's head over to the bar. What does the guide say about bar tools and equipment?
It starts with the cocktail shaker. They recommend considering both the Boston shaker, favored by pros, and the cobbler shaker, which is more beginner-friendly.
I've always loved watching bartenders make cocktails, like a little performance.
It is, and the guide emphasizes the need for precision. Jiggers and pour spouts are essential for accurate measuring and portion control.
So every cocktail is balanced, and you're not giving away free booze.
Exactly. And for wine service, they recommend various wine openers, the classic waiter's corkscrew, lever style for high volume, and of course, wine stoppers.
It's amazing how much thought goes into every aspect. And for those frozen margaritas, the guide mentions ice crushers and blenders.
Oh yeah, must-haves for those refreshing frozen drinks. And then there's glassware.
Using the right glass really does elevate the experience, like a martini in a chilled coupe glass or a craft beer in a sturdy pint glass.
It's all about those finishing touches. So we've talked about tools for cooking, crafting drinks, but now let's get to the less glamorous but equally important part, cleaning and sanitation.
Keeping things sparkling clean is crucial, especially in a restaurant.
Absolutely. The guide stresses the importance of a commercial dishwasher. The type you need depends on your size and needs, like a conveyor system for a busy diner or an undercounter model for a smaller cafe.
I've seen those conveyor systems. They're dishwashing beasts.
For everyday cleaning, they recommend sanitizing buckets, sprayers, heavy-duty floor cleaners, and mop buckets.
It's all about creating a system to ensure everything is properly cleaned and sanitized.
And then there's trash and recycling. It's about cleanliness and sustainability.
So important. And what about air quality in the kitchen?
They mention air purifiers and ventilation systems for removing contaminants and odors. It creates a cleaner, healthier work environment.
Especially important when those fryers are going. Okay, we've covered the back-of-house essentials. Now let's step out front and talk about front-of-house technology. What does the guide say about creating a smooth experience for diners?
It all starts with a robust POS system. It's the backbone of efficient order taking and payment processing.
Those systems are so advanced these days. It's like having a digital command center.
They can integrate with kitchen display systems, track inventory, generate reports, and so much more.
Wow. No more lost tickets, better inventory management, and valuable insights for the owners.
And then there are those digital menu boards. They're flexible, visually appealing, and can be updated in real time.
Plus, they can include nutritional information and allergen warnings, which is great for diners.
Transparency is key. Now, for managing crowds and minimizing wait times, they recommend reservation management systems.
Those are a lifesaver. I hate waiting for a table when I'm hungry.
They help optimize seating capacity, handle reservations and walk-ins, and ensure a smoother flow.
And let's not forget about payment options.
They emphasize modern payment terminals and mobile payment solutions for convenience and speed. Contactless payments, mobile wallets, it's all about making things easier.
I'm all about those tap-to-pay options. Okay, before we move on to the next part, which is all about safety, I want to ask our listeners a question.
Ooh, good idea.
If you were opening a restaurant, what tools and equipment would you prioritize? Think about your target audience, your menu, your vision.
Great question, and I have one too. As we talk about safety in the next part, I want you to think about how the layout of your kitchen would impact your equipment choices.
That's a great point. Sometimes practicality wins over those dream equipment wish lists.
Exactly. So keep that in mind as we delve into the world of restaurant safety. It's all part of the puzzle of creating a successful restaurant. All right, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about safety equipment.
Yeah, because having all those fancy tools and gadgets is great.
But it's all for nothing if your restaurant isn't a safe environment.
Absolutely. And Menuviel's guide doesn't shy away from stressing that safety is non-negotiable.
It's like the #1 priority, really, and it starts with having the right fire extinguishers, especially for those kitchen-specific hazards.
Right, because a kitchen fire is different from a fire in, say, an office.
Exactly. The guide specifically mentions Class K extinguishers, which are designed to handle fires involving cooking oils and fats.
Oh, those grease fires. I've seen videos they can get out of control so fast.
Yeah, those are the ones. So having the right type of extinguisher is crucial, but it's also about placement and maintenance.
Makes sense. What good is a fire extinguisher if you can't get to it quickly or it doesn't work?
Exactly. The guide says they need to be easily accessible, in good working order, and staff should be trained on how to use them properly.
That training is so important. It's not just about having the equipment. It's knowing how to use it effectively in an emergency.
Absolutely. And speaking of emergencies, let's talk about those early warning systems.
Like smoke detectors and heat detectors.
Yep. Those are crucial for giving everyone a heads up if there's a fire, and they're usually required by safety regulations anyway.
They're like those silent guardians, always watching out for potential hazards.
And the guide points out that heat detectors are especially important in kitchens where temperatures can change rapidly from cooking.
So they can tell the difference between normal cooking heat and a sudden spike that indicates a real fire.
Exactly. They're smart like that. And now for something we hope we never need, but it's essential to have a well-stocked first aid kit.
Because accidents do happen, especially in a busy kitchen environment.
Oh, for sure. Sharp knives, hot surfaces, things can get hectic. Having those supplies on hand to deal with minor injuries like cuts or burns is so important.
I'm sure those bandages and antiseptic wipes get used more often than we'd like to think.
Probably. And the guide recommends having first aid kits accessible in both the kitchen and front of house areas, just in case.
Always be prepared, right? And another hazard that we often overlook is slips and falls. Those are surprisingly common in restaurants.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's why the guide emphasizes non-slip mats, especially in areas prone to spills, like near the dishwashing station or behind the bar.
Those mats provide that extra bit of grip and can prevent a nasty fall. I've definitely had my share of close calls, especially when rushing around.
And they can also provide some cushioning for staff who are on their feet all day.
So it's about safety and comfort. Okay, so we've covered the essentials for keeping everyone safe: fire extinguishers, detectors, first aid kits, and non-slip mats.
Now let's talk about actually choosing all this equipment. I imagine it can be overwhelming for someone opening their first restaurant.
It must be. So much to think about, so many options.
Right, and that's where Menuviel's guide really shines. It gives some great advice on how to prioritize and make those tough decisions.
So where do you even begin? It's tempting to want all the latest and greatest gadgets.
It is tempting, but the guide stresses the importance of starting with a budget and really thinking about your core needs.
So not just getting caught up in all the shiny new equipment.
Exactly. Focus on what's absolutely essential for your menu and your day-to-day operations. Things like stoves, ovens, refrigerators, dishwashers. Those are your workhorses.
Those are the non-negotiables, the foundation of your kitchen.
Right. Once you've got those covered, then you can think about those more specialized pieces.
Like, okay, we have to have a good oven, but maybe that fancy immersion blender can wait.
Something like that. And the guide also talks about quality versus quantity. It might be tempting to go for the cheapest option.
But that might not be the best decision in the long run.
Exactly. Sometimes investing in a more durable, higher quality piece of equipment can save you money down the line on repairs and replacements.
It's like they say, buy it nice or buy it twice.
Right. Now, what about buying used equipment? I know a lot of new restaurant owners consider that to save money.
Yeah, it seems like a smart way to cut costs,
Yeah.
especially when you're starting out.
It can be, but the guide does present both sides, the pros and the cons of new versus used.
So you need to weigh the risks and rewards.
Exactly. New equipment comes with a warranty and the latest technology, but it's obviously more expensive. Used equipment can be a bargain.
But you never know what kind of hidden problems might pop up later.
That's the risk. So it's about doing your research, inspecting everything carefully, and being prepared for potential maintenance costs.
Like buying a used car. Sometimes you get a great deal. Sometimes you end up with a lemon.
That's a good analogy. Now, another important factor is energy efficiency. It's not just about saving money, it's also about being environmentally conscious.
Those Energy Star ratings can be a big help when you're trying to make those eco-friendly choices.
Oh yeah, they can be a good guide. And finally, don't forget about maintenance and warranty coverage when you're making those decisions.
It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of new equipment and forget about those practical considerations.
But you don't want to end up with a fancy new gadget that breaks down all the time and you're stuck with the repair bill.
That would be a nightmare. So, do your research, read reviews, talk to other restaurant owners, get those insights before making those big purchases.
Exactly. It's about making informed decisions that set you up for success in the long run. Now, before we move on to the final part, where we'll dive into those front-of-house tools that enhance the customer experience.
The stuff that makes the dining experience enjoyable and memorable for those coming to your restaurant.
Yeah, I want you to think about something. Imagine you're opening your restaurant, you've got your concept, your menu.
And now you're starting to picture your dream kitchen.
But here's the question. How does the layout of your kitchen impact your equipment choices?
Oh, that's a great point. You might have your heart set on a specific piece of equipment, but if it doesn't physically fit in your space...
Or if it disrupts your workflow, it's going to be more of a hindrance than a help.
Exactly. Sometimes practicality trumps those dream equipment wish lists.
Right. So keep that in mind as we explore those front-of-house tools. It's all about finding the right balance between functionality, efficiency, and creating that amazing dining experience.
Okay, so we've explored the heart of the restaurant, the kitchen, and all those essential safety measures. Now let's shift our focus to the front of the house.
Where the magic happens for the diners.
Exactly. It's all about creating that seamless and enjoyable experience for your customers. And this section of the guide really dives into how technology is playing a huge role in that.
It's incredible how much the restaurant industry has been transformed by technology, streamlining operations, enhancing the customer experience. I mean, it's amazing.
But even with all these advancements,
Yeah.
let's not forget the human element.
Oh, absolutely. Technology can do so much, but it's the people who really bring that warmth and personality to the dining
The
experience.
servers, the bartenders, the hosts, they're the ones who create those connections and make people feel welcome.
Couldn't agree more. Speaking of technology, let's talk about the backbone of a modern restaurant, the POS system.
Those systems have come a long way from those old clunky cash registers.
They really have. Modern POS systems are like the central nervous system of a restaurant. They connect the front of the house to the kitchen, manage orders, process payments, track inventory, even analyze sales data. It's pretty remarkable.
It's like having a digital assistant that keeps everything running smoothly. And I love how they've integrated with kitchen display systems.
Oh yeah, those are game changers. Orders pop up instantly in the kitchen, no more lost tickets, fewer errors, faster service.
Plus, they can track inventory levels in real time, so you don't run out of a popular dish in the middle of a rush, and those detailed reports they generate.
Those are gold. They give restaurant owners those insights they need to make informed decisions about their business. Now, while we're on the topic of technology, we have to talk about those digital menu boards.
They're definitely eye-catching, but are they just about aesthetics, or do they offer real advantages?
Oh, they offer some serious benefits. The guide highlights their flexibility. You can update menu items, prices, promotions, all in real time.
So, no more reprinting those expensive paper menus every time you change a dish or adjust a price.
Exactly. Plus, they can incorporate beautiful, high-quality images of your dishes. Tempting, right?
Oh, definitely. I've definitely been swayed by a mouth-watering photo or two. And I've also noticed that some digital menus now include nutritional information and allergen warnings.
That's a great point. It's all about transparency and giving diners the information they need to make informed choices.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that can really make or break a dining experience: wait times.
Nobody wants to be stuck waiting for a table forever.
Especially when you're hungry. So what's the solution?
Well, the guide recommends reservation management systems. They help streamline the seating process, whether you're dealing with reservations, walk-ins, or even large parties.
They help optimize seating capacity, minimize those dreaded wait times, and create a smoother flow.
Exactly. And it's not just about efficiency. It's about creating a more pleasant and welcoming atmosphere for your diners. Nobody wants to feel like they're part of a chaotic scramble for tables.
Speaking of making things easier for diners, let's talk about payment options.
Ah, yes. The guide emphasizes the importance of modern payment terminals and those mobile payment solutions that are becoming so popular.
It's all about speed and convenience in our fast-paced world, right?
Exactly. Nobody wants to fumble with cash or wait for the credit card machine to process. Things like contactless payments and mobile wallets have become essential.
I love those tap-to-pay options. So much faster and easier, and the adoption of mobile payment solutions like Apple Pay and Google Pay is only increasing.
It's the way of the future. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive, I want to touch on something that might seem less tech-focused, but still plays a role in creating a cohesive brand identity: uniforms.
Oh, absolutely. Uniforms are a big part of a restaurant's overall image.
The guide stresses that uniforms contribute to that sense of professionalism and brand consistency.
So whether it's formal attire or a more casual branded look, it's about creating that visual identity for your staff.
Exactly. And even those little details, like aprons with logo embroidery, can reinforce your brand and add a touch of personality.
It's those little touches that make a difference. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into the world of restaurant tools and equipment, from the essentials of the kitchen to the technology that's transforming the front of the house.
It's been quite a journey. It really highlights just how much goes into creating a successful restaurant.
It's a testament to the hard work, the dedication, and the passion of everyone involved in this industry. It's about the chefs, the servers, the bartenders, the owners, the dishwashers, everyone who comes together to create those memorable dining experiences.
And it's about the tools and the technology that help them do what they do best. So next time you're enjoying a meal at your favorite restaurant, take a moment to appreciate all those elements that came together to make that experience possible.
Think about the journey, the ingredients, the preparation, the people, the tools, the technology. It's all part of a fascinating and intricate ecosystem.
And remember, even the simplest dish is often the result of a complex and beautiful collaboration. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Until next time.